What? Dynatrace can do that with OpenTelemetry? No way.
Hey, Andy.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. So in our last episode, we were playing with the OTel demo and you were showing me the Dynatrace Services app as a good starting point to explore, play with your data. I say play because not to disparage what you're doing with the data, but it is you're exploring it, right? It is
Exactly.
it can be a fun thing. So anyway.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
today,
what do we do today?
I think we're talking about looking at the Distributed Traces app.
Sounds good. Well, why don't you bring up your Dynatrace screen or your browser window?
Yes. Let me do that. Dun, dun, dun. Here we go. Here we are. So again, for context, sending data from the OpenTelemetry Demo app to Dynatrace. I'm running it using Docker Compose, so no Kubernetes in play here. So what are we? We'll start with the distributed tracing app, right?
Yeah,
So
exactly. Yeah, because when I think, at least when I think about OpenTelemetry, often distributed traces come to mind. So if you really want to have a trace-based start, if you want to start on traces and maybe understand what traces are coming in and which ones are bad to analyze, we open up the Distributed Traces app. And like I always say, Control K or Command K is your friend, because that opens up the search. And then you can search for traces. And then here, very important for those folks that have been with Dynatrace for a little while longer, we've been through different product iterations. So some of our apps, everything is an app in Dynatrace. Some are called classics in the end, but we want to go with the regular one, the distributed tracing.
Awesome.
You can still open up the old screens, but we want to stick with the new stuff. But for those that have been with Dynatrace for a while, they know what classical looks like. Perfect.
Right.
In this case, it seems what I would like you to do, right? Because Dynatrace remembers. Dynatrace knows what you did last summer, or actually Dynatrace knows what we did in the last recording. So we had the filter on. So do me a favor, remove that filter on top. Remove the click on the X. That's good. And then maybe from a time perspective, you just want to go
do last 2 hours, because I think it's been running long enough now at this point.
Yeah. And also, do you remember the collapsing of the left panel to get a little bit more space?
That's right. Yes, that's always appreciated.
Yeah.
And I can further smush things a little bit here too. There we go.
Cool. So the Distributed Traces app is basically showing you, in this case, all the distributed traces that came in the last 2 hours. And it gives you in the chart an overview of every single trace, and basically shows you how many came in. So that's the green bar, successful request, it seems, at least if my eyes don't fool me, there's no failed requests. Looks all good.
As far as I can tell. I guess we could always filter.
You can always filter, yeah, exactly. But I always like the top view first, because you get a nice overview. Now, there's different filter options, right? The first filter option would be you could filter on any type of metadata on your traces. This is on the left side where you have
the stuff here.
Yeah, for instance, you could say, I think earlier we looked at the card service.
I believe so.
So if you click on it and then update, so now we're only looking at traces that came in from the card service, right? If that's what it is, if that's the stuff that you're interested in.
And I'm guessing if I wanted to, I could also just type it into this filter.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Yeah, we give you two options. Either I'm not sure what the right English term is for the left kind of tree structure, but assets. Yeah.
Okay, cool, awesome.
But the nice thing is,
that's what a facet is, because I was wondering, show facets.
Yeah. And you can really filter on any type of metadata on your spans, right? If you have any specific attributes that you're capturing, you can filter on them and immediately get this.
And this basically exposes all of the different types of metadata that we might
Yeah.
be receiving, right? So
Yeah.
this shows like our service names, the endpoints, request status. That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's really awesome. Ooh, color me impressed.
Yeah. What I also like, I have a background in performance engineering, so I also like in the chart to switch between time series and histogram.
Okay, let's do that.
Mm-hmm. Right, it gives you a little bit of an overview of the response time distribution. In this case, you see how many requests came in these 2 hours that meet your filter, and what's the response time. The response time is on the x-axis, so what's the 90th, the 50th, the average, and what's the 50th percentile, so you get a nice overview. You can also interact with that chart. So you should be able to zoom in, and you can just like click the mouse if you want to say, show me all the
Ooh,
yeah, exactly.
cool.
But you can also try that. You can click on the mouse button on the left, and then you can kind of zoom in into an area.
What do you mean?
In the chart, you can zoom in the chart.
Oh, I see.
Right?
Like this?
So in this case, right,
okay.
if you say, show me all of the traces that fall within this particular performance behavior. In this case, we're looking at this particular response time band.
Yeah. Oh, so when I do that, does it refresh the traces here?
Yeah, because what it did, if you pay close attention on the left side in the filter, under response time, it took over that selected time.
Ooh.
Right.
That is very cool.
Yeah. There's also some, do me a favor, while it's nice to see the filters, maybe clear the filter again for response time, so you can either clear there, that's perfect.
You want me to just remove the response
just remove the two. Yeah, I think that's good.
Convenient.
And then run it.
Did I run it? Ooh. No likey. What do we have here? Last 2 hours. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe there's a hidden character somewhere. Maybe you click on the X on the top.
Oh yeah, maybe. Okay,
and then just run it again. Here we go. Yeah.
Let's just filter on the cart service again. Where'd you go? Doop. There we go. Update.
Perfect.
Okay, here we go.
Cool. So we can interact with the time series and the histogram on the top to get an overview, to focus in on certain requests. But what we can also do is we can interact with the table on the bottom. So for instance, response time. Do me a favor and click on the response time column.
Yep.
On the column header, because here, right, we can sort. So for me as a performance engineer, I'm always interested in what are the slowest requests.
Yeah.
That would be one thing, right?
Yeah.
What you can also do is, for instance, you see where it says endpoint, right?
Yes.
The endpoint column. So if you click on it, right, you get to an individual trace. That's nice. Yeah. But what we can also do is, if you want to get a better overview of performance, split or group by endpoint, you can also group by it.
Okay.
So that means there's a group by.
I see it up here, right?
Yeah. And we could, for instance, say group by endpoint.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
All right. And it's doing its thing.
Right. And now the table changes, and it gives you an automated table that says what's the average duration, the average P95, the count, the failure rate.
Oh, I see. Per endpoint. Oh, that's cool. That's very nice. Awesome. And then the other thing, because I think our entry when we got into this view, I think I clicked on get cart. So I'm assuming that's why this is highlighted.
Exactly. Yeah, you clicked on I think you clicked on a span, because basically we saw the list of spans.
Yes.
And then you automatically get the full trace that starts from the root span all the way down, and then it automatically selects the one that you had selected. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's great. And then something that I think is probably familiar to folks who have used like distributed tracing apps, that there's basically for that particular span, it looks like some metadata, some attributes for that span,
Exactly.
which is handy. And it looks like you can search on them.
Yeah.
What am I searching for? Let's see, name. Oh, okay. So it's like a free text search kind of thing.
Yeah.
Cool. Oh, look, there's a span event in here. Ooh, that's really cool. So that's awesome. And then I noticed that there's a logs tab here.
Yeah, exactly.
And these are the logs associated with the span then.
Yeah, exactly. And you have, right, again, full details of the log. Yeah, you can make it a little bigger. So this is just our log widget. That means you get to see the full log with all of its attributes. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Very cool. Yeah, I always find it useful to see like this kind of view for a log, because otherwise, if it's a wall of text, it's like, it hurts my brain.
Yeah.
And yeah, then I guess this is the log message, and then these are the attributes around the log. And then can I click on, these are clickable. I'm going to see what, okay. Let me see if I click on, open record with. Ooh, qu'est-ce que c'est? What would be useful to open record with for this?
Well, that's a good question. What did you actually click? I think I didn't pay enough attention.
Oh, it was, wait, where was it? Oh yeah, I think it was this here, OTel scope name.
Scope name, yeah. So the open record with is always a, remember, it basically takes that value and then it gives you other apps that you can open with, and then the app is being passed that value, and then if the app can do something with it, yes or no, that depends on the app a little bit. I'm not sure if this example in particular makes a lot of sense. What does make sense is, for instance, you have the Dynatrace source entity, right? So for instance, if you see the entity service, that's also good, where you have your mouse over, so you can click on it, and then you can do open field with,
Okay, let's do open field with.
And then you could say, we go into the new services app, right?
All right.
Yeah.
Cool. And we have view service and services app. View service in services app without leaving the app.
Let's give this a try.
Yeah. This is actually kind of handy because I don't necessarily want to commit to leaving the distributed tracing app.
That means you are staying in that trace that you're analyzing in the distributed traces app, but you said, hey, please show me all the details that the services app would show me for that service. So now we're back to what we learned in the previous episode. You are in the service, right? You see all the metrics, the logs, the events, and everything.
That's very cool. Look at that.
Look at that.
Yeah, that's really handy, honestly. And like, I've said it before, I will continue to say it again. I think the power of like really achieving observability is having that data correlation and to see how everything fits together. And if you don't know how it fits together into the big picture, then I think you're missing out on the whole point of what we're trying to do, right? And so this makes me really happy because I get to see how everything plays together nicely.
Yeah, it's great to hear. I think maybe the last thing, let's go back. Let's clear actually now one more thing that I see, small little detail, but you are on the bottom basically seeing the details of a trace. And if your screen is not big enough, you can also click on the maximize button. You see the maximize button? I just
noticed that actually. And I was like, ooh, I want to click that. Nice.
Yeah.
Yes.
So then you get then you really have, the full view of the trace. Yeah.
That's great. Amazing. Yay.
Also, I remember last time when we talked, you asked questions. What is the green and the pink and the white and the blue?
That's right. Yeah. That's right. Yes. Yes. And I'm sure people who are watching are probably curious if wanting to know if these colors have any significance.
Yeah. I mean, basically, these are all colors from spans that belong to the same logical service. So I think it starts with blue, that's the front end. Then white is the front end proxy, right? And the egress. Then green is the regular front end component, and then pinkish, I guess that's the right color, is the card service. Yeah. So we basically just say, you know what, because this is visually really nice. If you see who is calling home, where are the boundaries between services. And then especially I've seen this over many years when I did distributed trace analysis, you often see patterns where one service calls the other service in a loop, and it's go back and forth and back and forth. So then it's very easy to see that, hey, the front-end service makes, 50 iterations through a certain API call to that backend service, and then it's visually easier to spot.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate that, because I think that's, and especially with distributed tracing where there's like so many moving parts, right? It's just nice to be able to see like what the hell is going on. Awesome.
And I think you can always close the details, obviously, right? Then you get back to the previous view that you had earlier on the top right.
Yes.
I think they will get you. Oh, that's the details.
Oh no.
The minimize. So the maximize actually opened up a new tab. So that means you are completely in a new browser tab.
Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. Aha. Okay. So we can return to our other. That is actually good to know. Because I was like, I'm sitting there, I'm like, how the hell do I get back to the original screen? So yes, thank you for pointing that out. Appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Awesome. Yay. Great.
So I think that's a great, it's a good starting point. Maybe one last thing. Do me one more favor.
Sure.
Let's go back to our initial start. That means remove the grouping, the group by of the endpoint. Let's remove that. Perfect. And then let's remove also the filter on top. I think that would be good.
Okay.
Everything.
Goodbye.
Yeah, and then perfect. So we are back on the charts. What's also nice in the table on the bottom, you can, if you, for instance, click now we have all the different services. We have front end, product catalog. Do me a favor, click on one of those. Click on one of these values in the service name.
Oop. Right. Did I go too far?
Yeah, I was just wondering. Sorry. You just clicked one of these. That's fine. Do me a favor and try to. If you click on the service column, right? You have the table on the top with the services.
Service column. Oh, here. Yeah.
So if you hover over the mouse, front end proxy, I think the 3 dots. If you click on that, right, you can say, hey, let's filter based on where the front end is the front end, where the service is the front end proxy, or where it's not the front end proxy. So you can easily then interact with the table with the current result, and then optimize your filter or fine grain your filter.
Oh, nice. Oh, and I want to point out, look, we have an error.
Finally.
I'm kind of excited.
Well,
do you want to look at the error?
Yeah, I think so, right? We should look.
It presented itself for us.
Yeah. Click on failure. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, errors. Okay. Yeah. Ooh, and fun thing to note, the span here now has like this little red mark on the side.
Yeah.
And clearly marked as errors. And failure. And actually, I'm wondering, just going back with the filters, we should be able to like filter on failures, right?
I guess so. Yeah, that's a good point.
On errors. What's the best place to filter on? Oh, I guess here.
Well, let's give it a try.
Let's find out. Oh, la la. Here we go. That's cool. Yeah, that's helpful. I mean, because one of the in my past life, when I was managing an observability practices team, one of the things that the teams that we were working with felt overwhelmed by was like, I am receiving all these traces. How do I sift through all this stuff, right? And I think having an application that clearly marks the failures is one important way to help us make sense of the data, right? Especially if we know that something is up and we don't know where or what, right?
Yeah, I mean, I would like to give also a different approach, because I don't think your first way should be to go to your millions of traces and then find those where you potentially have an error, or find those with an error. Right, this is where Dynatrace comes in again. Dynatrace will then detect something is wrong, will alert you, and then with a click you get exactly to those errors. But now it seems, I mean, it's very easy to observe. We have 343 spans that have an error, and it seems that all of them are also very slow. So for me as a performance engineer, and if I look at the response time, 15 seconds is almost at the mark. That sounds like a clear either timeout it runs into or something. Right? But you can click on any of those, and then we can have a quick look. Again, I think it's the same type of trace on the perfect. Yeah, and then what I like now, first of all, again, we have the logs of the whole span, and what you can also do is, the reason why we say why we detect this is an error or a failure is because OpenTelemetry has marked that span as having an error, and that means we should also see this on the attributes, right? If you click on the attributes, on the span attributes,
on the span, like here. Oh yeah, sorry. Brain fart.
Yeah, exactly. And then if you click on, I think the here we go, internal failure. Tenant span, error status, right? It's all there. Perfect. So this is just the error information on the span. And I think if you scroll a little further up, there's also some other error information. You can also search for error.
Let's search for error. Span status error. That's the extent of it.
Yeah, whoever instrumented that app didn't do a better job in coming with that.
It's the importance of doing proper instrumentation, not just instrumenting, but instrumenting effectively.
Exactly.
Cool. Well, I think this is a good spot to leave off on as part of our Dynatrace exploration. So thank you, Andi, for doing the walkthrough of the Traces app. And we will catch you all again next time in the next edition.